Hi, this is Mark Pizzacalla and welcome to the first edition of 3 Minutes with Mark for 2024. What I want to talk about today is tax reform. Interest rates are on hold. The federal government's done a U-turn on stage 3 tax cuts. It's appropriate that we've got to have this discussion. And yes, I know I've had this discussion with you before. My personal opinion has always been that tinkering with personal tax rates does not constitute tax reform, irrespective of who the government of the day is. Tax reform requires a holistic approach. Look at the tax system as a whole, working out what needs to be done at a federal level and at a state level. Now remember, a good tax system is meant to raise revenue to finance government activities without imposing unnecessary costs and burdens and impediments to business or the economy. So tax reform is about as much as how the revenue is raised, not just about how much is raised. With that in mind, what do I think we should be looking at? Well, here we go. You have to look at the interaction between the personal tax system, company tax system, and GST. It's no secret we are way over-reliant on personal taxes. The OECD has indicated that as Australians, we're paying more personal income tax as a share of government revenue than any other advanced economy. That's not sustainable going forward. And our over-reliance is the same as what it was in the 1950s. That's 75 years ago. So work that out with the maths. Now, the OECD has also recommended eliminating exemptions from GST, which is controversial, I know, especially if you're attacking, health and education and so forth, lifting the rate, but also compensating those on lower incomes. Has to be at least considered. Inheritance tax is the second one. There's going to be a massive generational shift of wealth, some say over $1 trillion over the next 10 years, whatever the number is. It has to be considered in terms of inheritance tax. Now, it's a controversial tax, and even if you were to levy it at, say, at a certain high level, like $10 or $15 million of net wealth of individuals, it's still going to be a controversial thing to consider. But I think we need to just have a look at it. Family home's another one. That's a dynamite conversation, especially since COVID, where properties have increased in value significantly, and especially over the last 10 or 20 years. And I know it's the sacred cow in the Australian tax system, but it is possible to establish a base case where you can say up to a certain level it's tax-free, and above that level it'll be a CGT gain. So got to be considered again. Some very credentialed organisations, such as the International Monetary Fund, have indicated that it should be revisited, CGT tax breaks and broadening the GST system. Negative gearing is another one. It was only in for 1 year, remember, when Paul Keating stopped negative gearing. And remember, it was only there for a short period of time because it caused rents to go up. Is that going to happen again? What lessons can we learn from the past? Very important to consider that. Last but not least, 50% CGT discount. If you sell an asset because you've held it for more than 12 months, 50% of your CGT gain is tax-free. Why is that? Got to be considered. Just some all food for thought. It's going to be a big year, this one. So May budget's critical. Hopefully the government takes into account in a fair and equitable way the requirements of all of these things that affect the tax system. I've only focused on a few. I could be here for a lot longer, but I'm sure you've probably heard enough from me. Speak soon.